Hello and welcome back to our all new webinar in the Finding Hope with OMS season for our live OMS Cook Along with Rachel Detroit. My name's Sian Southwood, the Head of Programmes here at OMS, and I'm joining you from a very hot London in the UK. In a moment, I shall be handing you over to Rachel, our guest presenter and cook for the night. But before I do that, I just wanted to run through the normal bit of housekeeping to keep everything hopefully running very smoothly. So the session is being recorded, so you will receive a link to access that recording in the next week directly from Zoom, as well as all the materials. So don't worry about keeping up with the cooking. You can always watch it back, pause it, and replay it. You'll notice that it is obviously a Zoom webinar, so there is no audio video component for our participants, but you can submit questions at the Q&A button at the bottom. And if you are experiencing any technical glitches, we recommend using a Chrome browser and also logging out and then logging back in. We've tried to make the webinar as accessible as possible. We've got the subtitles at the bottom of your screen. There is an option to click on that and hide those for the session if you like. Of course, as you exit the webinar later, and hopefully not before, there will be a survey that will pop up and we'll just ask you a couple of questions. And it's really great to get your feedback and understand how well the sessions are going. The webinar will run for approximately an hour, and there will be some opportunity to ask Rachel some questions at the end, facilitated by myself. And so without further ado, I'd love to welcome Rachel to the floor. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Raring to go, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm ready to go, ready to cook some burgers here.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to stop sharing the screen so that you will become bigger and I will disappear, and I'll just be keeping an eye on the questions coming in. And yeah, it'd be lovely for you to start by just introducing yourself, and I'll hand the floor to you. Thank you very much, Rachel.
All right, sounds good. I'm just going to turn this blind a little bit. I see it real bright in the background. All right, so hello, my name is Rachel Detroit. I am a fellow OMSer, so that's how I got to know what OMS even was. I'm a lifestyle coach, so I'll kind of give a little bit of background just real quick before we jump into these black bean burgers. I was diagnosed with MS like a little over 3 years ago, and it really changed my life. Like, I wasn't able to walk very well at all, actually. My mother had to put my clothes on, so it really changed my life, and I felt like I was really hopeless, you know. And then I found OMS. Well, first I found everything in the world, you know, like I became a doctor, a physician myself. I found everything. And then I found OMS, and there was just so many people who were involved in like practicing this lifestyle and all of the lovely things that came out of it, you know. And if you need medication, that's an option. If you need like whatever it is, like it's an all-encompassing, lovely, beautiful program. And since then, it has helped me reclaim my health. Changed my career. Like, I used to be a teacher for 8 years, very stressful. And now I'm a lifestyle coach. So I help teach people how to change their lifestyle to live well with disease. So MS has given me a lot of really, you know, sometimes when I think of it, but it's given me a lot of really good opportunities to change my life and get well. So today we're gonna make a couple different things. So we're gonna make black bean burgers, and making black bean burgers is so important because this is something folks with MS and people in general, it's super important to be prepared, to have things on hand, so we aren't urged to eat out of, you know, we want to be compliant with our food. So we can make these burgers. The ingredients in them on purpose, I ensured that they were cost effective and accessible so that folks could make them. And if you leave something out of the recipe, for example, you don't have a green pepper or a pepper, leave it out. That it's okay. You know, don't leave the sweet potatoes out or the beans, but there are certain things. So, all right, without further ado, let's get rolling. So if you don't have your oven, if you're cooking along, have your oven started at 425 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm not exactly sure what that would be, Celsius or gas mark. So if that could be put in the chat, that would be cool. 400 degrees Fahrenheit, or somehow be shared what that is. So we have our oven preheating there. I have, again, if you're cooking along, go ahead and start chopping your onions and garlic. So we have half a cup of onions and 3 garlic cloves. We're going to cook them up a little bit. So that way, when we put them in our burger, the flavor is not too overpowering. We've cooked it down a little bit. And I'm just following the recipe here on my iPad. That's why I got it. All right, so we got all of that, and let's start putting the ingredients. We're going to use a food processor for this to incorporate everything. So to start, we have 3 cups of black beans. So something that I've learned after getting MS and changing my lifestyle was how to soak and cook my own beans. So it's a lot more cost effective to cook and soak your own beans. You put them in a container with water and let them be covered a little bit over an inch, the dry beans, maybe 1 to 2 inches covered in water, and you let that soak overnight until the next day. Then you're going to go ahead and add it to a pot, bring it to a boil, cover it with water about 2 inches over it. So this is after it's soaked overnight. So the water will be almost gone. And so you put it in there and you simmer it for 45 minutes. So you let it hit a boil, then you bring it down to a simmer, and then you got your beans. All right, so in here, I'm adding my black beans. I sizzled up these onions and garlic over here, and I'm cooking oil-free. And the way that I do it is by using nonstick pans. Okay, so I eat whole food, plant-based, oil-free 100%. So I don't dabble in with the olive oil or anything. I just completely keep it 100% oil-free to keep my fat down, to keep my saturated fat down. I know there's a whole bunch of, everyone does their own, has their own methods and what works for them. And for me, absolutely no oil is best. All right, so I got my 3 cups of black beans, which is the same as 2 cans. So if you're using canned black beans, it's the same as 2 cans. So I got that, and then I got my onions and my garlic. We're gonna add ketchup, we're gonna add liquid smoke. We're gonna end up zipping this all up. Another thing too, this is called a flax egg. So what that is it's made out of flaxseed meal. And so you add 1 tablespoon of flaxseed meal to 3 tablespoons of water. And this is all in the instructions. You let it sit, and it makes this thick, it makes a thicker egg-like, and it serves to make the burger stick well together. So we'll add that in. I did 1 flax egg, which is 1 tablespoon of flaxseed meal and 3 tablespoons of water. So that's going to help us get this all to stick. Right. And there were a few things that you were supposed to, if you're cooking along, have prepared before. So we have the carrots boiled, the onions boiled for a cheese sauce that we're making, and potatoes too, and sweet potatoes boiled for this, which was in the recipe. All right, cool. So let's add some 1 tablespoon of barbecue sauce or ketchup. I like ketchup. I use this brand. It's in the USA. It's called Organicville. They don't use processed sugar, so it's Organicville ketchup. And they use agave nectar instead of white sugar or cane sugar, which is important because with MS, we don't want those like extra inflammatory things in our body. We want to do our best, and it's all about just doing our best. You can't be perfect all the time. Okay, so we're going to add 2 teaspoons of liquid smoke in here. This is optional. Some people do not like it because in high quantities, it can be problematic, but I don't eat it in high quantities. I just eat it sometimes. So I think it's got a good flavor, but you can omit it if you want. We're going to do 1.5 teaspoons of cumin. Let's see this one. We'll do 1.5 teaspoons of cumin, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika. So we got 1.5 teaspoons of cumin. I love cumin. I use it a lot on everything. 1 teaspoon of chili powder. So my chili powder, I buy organic from the internet, and they come in like these big things. Same with my onion powder, because it is a lot more cost effective. And the brand that I use is Frontier Co-op. Frontier Co-op. I get it on Amazon, you know, not to keep pumping up Amazon, but that's just where I get it from. All right, so we got our garlic powder, smoked paprika, and then we're gonna zip this all up. So this is almost done. So, you know, like living with MS, it's not like we wake up every single day. I mean, with OMS, I almost do wake up every single day feeling awesome. But in the human condition, you know, we don't wake up every single day feeling awesome, and especially with MS. So it's like really important to be prepared, and having these burgers on hand, which is why I wanted to make sure we prepared them, because it's like such a nice tool to have. If you wanted to use chickpeas, so this is a really good base recipe. If you wanted to use chickpeas and swap out the barbecue sauce and liquid smoke with curry, then you have a curry burger. Like, you can play with this recipe and just use that simple foundation that I made, and you can replace the flavors. We're gonna do 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, so that's gonna help the burger sit tight. And the thing is this burger has no fillers. So often we'll have burgers that have fillers. Maybe they use oats or rice or grains, and you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Although for me, what I've learned in my body, and that's another thing with MS, it's like I have to be like in tune with my body. You know, and so when I eat a lot of grains, I don't feel awesome. So I wanted to make a burger that had no grains in it. I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of a finely chopped bell pepper. I used red. I like red because it's got like a kind of like a smoky taste, I feel, in there. So you can use red or green or whatever color you want. All right, we got 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Gonna do, you know, I'm gonna skip the salt. You can put it if you like. 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then we're gonna add our sweet potato, 1 cup of sweet potato, but we're not gonna add it until we pulse this a little bit. So we have all of our good stuff right in here. I'm gonna pulse it, but I'm gonna make sure that I don't overdo it. I'm not creating mush. What I'm creating is just combining and breaking down. Then I'm going to add the sweet potato. So I don't want it to be mushy, because then our burger won't stick or cook. All right. Okay, so I gave it a little bit, and now I'm going to add the sweet potato. Then I'm going to show you guys how beautiful this color of this burger has come out. Again, if to remind folks, I'll talk after this is done. 1 second. Yeah, just to remind folks, the cheese that we're gonna make for the mac and cheese and peas, and then I'm gonna explain to you guys why I chose peas in there. But the cheese that we're gonna make, if you have not done so yet, boil 2 to 3 medium Yukon Gold potatoes, 2 carrots, and a medium-sized onion, that for our cheese sauce. Okay, so burgers are happy. Let me show you guys what I got here. Then we're gonna make them. Okay, so as you can see, the burgers, like, you can see, you see beans, you see peppers, you see everything. So we're not pulverizing it, we are breaking it down. All right, so let's make some burgers here. So it's often that we well, I'll just speak from my experience. It's often that I'll make burgers and I'm like, oh no, they're all different and weird sizes. So I'm going to show you guys a little technique of how you can make them all the same size. Put my spatula. Okay, so I'm going to put all this in a bowl. And we're going to want to make about 8 patties out of them. Okay, so I got all of my burgers in this bowl and I'm going to flatten it up, like spread it out so it's like pretty even. Okay, so I spread it out in the bowl so it's pretty even. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it in half with my hand, right? Just like this is just a rough estimate. And then I split it in half again. So that's 4 patties. Then I split each one of these in half and each one of those. And then it gives me like a rough idea of, you know, my 8 burgers. Like there's one. So that way I can keep them close to the same size. It's not a huge deal, but they'll cook better. They'll cook the same. They'll be the same size. All right, here's another thing. So we have our baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Also, if you're cooking along and this is a little bit too fast, please remember to go back in the and you'll be able to watch the video again too. All right, so we have our parchment paper here. So I line this with parchment paper so I don't need oil on the bottom of this so it doesn't stick. And a trick is if you crumble up your parchment paper, it stays and it doesn't like move around and get wild on your spot here. All right, so I'm gonna put these burgers. I remember when I first was diagnosed with MS and I started, like I found OMS and I had no idea how to cook anything, like absolutely nothing. Like all I ate, which is not like the best form of OMS, but still OMS compliant. All I ate was dates, like whole dates dipped in almond butter and cacao, which is like totally amazing dessert. But like that's all I ate, and like bananas and apples. Like I had no idea what I was doing. You know, and it takes time and it takes patience. All right, let me show you guys one of the patties here that I have. So it's beautiful because you see all these lovely foods in there, and that's fiber. And with MS, fiber is crucial. We need fiber. We need short chain fatty acids to be produced in our body to help fight inflammation. And that's done by increasing the fiber. You know, and more as I allow myself to explore and open up and study and work with folks and work with myself, I'm learning, you know, the way to mitigate and reverse chronic conditions. You know, again, we're never going to not have MS, but we can definitely live well, like super well with it. And the way to reverse these conditions is through lifestyle change. So, you know, and OMS is a program that isn't just food. A lot of times folks we will just stop at the food. And we just want to make sure that we also, you know, keep in check all the other aspects of lifestyle. So we're talking sleep hygiene. You know, how are you sleeping? Are you getting to bed at proper time? If you're not sleeping through the night, that's not normal. Like what changes can be made? So, you know, is your room cool? Are you sleeping in a cool room? Are you going to bed the same time every night, waking up the same time every day? These are practices that help us get better sleep. Is your room dark? Are you cutting the screens off about 1 to 2 hours, at least 1 hour before bed? You know, and I'm not saying I do these things perfectly. Absolutely not. But what I'm saying is this is the science, this is the data, that these aspects of lifestyle is what will make us well. So sleep hygiene, substance intake, you know, in the OMS book, it talks a lot. It talks about, I don't know a lot, but it talks enough about smoking and how dangerous, you know, that is for MS. So we got substance intake, stress management. So anytime I have any problems with MS, it's because I'm dating someone. but that's beside the point. It's because I am stressed, you know? And so it's about managing stress, right? So I meditate first thing in the morning, and then I meditate before I go to bed. And I also like, you know, I tell myself in my brain, it doesn't mean I always do it, like when challenging situations come up, like that is a really good time to meditate. It doesn't mean that I do it. I just know. So we just want to make sure that all these aspects of lifestyle, another one that's really important is social interconnectedness, right? So MS is a very like, at least that's how I felt when I was first diagnosed. You know, I don't want to make a broad statement, but when I was diagnosed, I felt really lonely. And so, because I'm scared, like, I don't know what's going on. This is scary. I don't know anybody other than my, you know, this person and the outcomes that people share with me, you know, it's a lot for, and I was just 28 years old, you know, it's just 28. So, social interconnectedness is super important. So these are aspects that, you know, like, are you reaching out to family? Are your relationships that you have like currently fulfilling? Are they stressful? Are they safe? You know, so we have stress management, substance intake, social connection, sleep hygiene, nutrition, and physical movement. And those are just like some aspects of lifestyle that are talked about in OMS, that are like very important to keep up with if we want to live well with this disease, which we do, which is why we're here. All right, I'm going to show you guys my burgers. And then we'll put them in the oven for, it's at 425. Then we're going to make this cheese sauce, and that'll be real quick. And then I'll show you guys some cookies, and we'll be roaring. All right, so these are the burgers. Oops. They're so delicious and beautiful. That's my opinion. All right, so I'm going to put these in. We'll do 12 minutes to start, and then we're going to flip them. And then we'll do 10 more. All right, so 12 or 13. So I just put in 12. All right, so let's get roaring on the cheese sauce and the mac and cheese and peas. All right, so I'll tell you all why I'm so connected to peas. Okay, so with MS, it's, you know, it's a disease where fiber really helps us. Fiber really helps us. And so when we look at peas, green peas, frozen green peas, these are the best ones for cooking this mac and cheese. So if you look at the thing, the dietary fiber is 4 grams per serving. So in 2/3 of a cup, you got 4 grams of fiber. And this is why I love it. It's matched with 4 grams of protein. So the fiber and the protein ratio, and like, we're not bodybuilders, maybe some of us are, but overall we're not bodybuilders. So we don't have to stress too much about protein intake. But that fiber in there, it's just, whew, it's just beautiful. It's wonderful. All right, so this cheese sauce that we're gonna make is very versatile. So I wanted to make this because we'll use it for mac and cheese. And let me tell you something, vegetarians, vegans, omnivores, carnivores, herbivores, they love it. Everybody loves it. It's good. So you can use this cheese. So I wanted to make this cheese because you can use it, put it on tacos. You can make a casserole. You can cook some rice, put it on top with veggies. You can, we're going to use it to top this burger. We're going to use it to make mac and cheese and peas. I've air fried tortilla chips and I put the cheese on there. You know, just because we follow this lifestyle doesn't mean we can't eat fun things. So this cheese is super lovely. All right, so I have carrots. I have 3 medium Yukon potatoes boiled, and I have 3 carrots boiled. And then I also have 1 medium onion and a 1/4 cup of red pepper in here. So the red pepper we didn't boil, but I boiled the potatoes, the onions, and the carrots. And those are the main, that's the main star of the show. I saved 1/2 cup of the potato water. So we save 1/2 cup of that water. which is here. And we end up using that. In here. All right, so we're gonna add nutritional yeast. This has a lot of B12 in it, which, I mean, we're not gonna eat nutritional yeast like to increase our B12 levels, but a common thing with folks with MS is that our B12 levels can be off. So that's something. All right, so we got the nutritional yeast. We're gonna do our 1/2 cup of boiled potato water, and we'll add more if needed. So we got that. And then 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And then we got 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. And I would recommend for this recipe, like you definitely can leave some things out. Like I have done it where I've forgotten the lemon. And it still works. It still works. I would say the pepper though is like so important because it tastes so good. All right, we'll do 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. And then we'll do 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. So MS has been like, for me, it's been like a really big experience of like learning, you know, like a lot of people have said, because I'm in an OMS support group, and a lot of people have said like it takes years, you know, it takes years to get back to full. I forgot to pull the lemon out. I'm just gonna pull that out. It takes, you know, it takes years. So like hearing other people say that makes me have more patience and like give myself more grace while learning how to live with this disease, because it's not like, it's not for the soft-hearted. It's not the easiest thing, you know. It's a lot to learn. It's a lot to grow. It's a lot of fear. But something that I've learned is that like I have to, like, you know, fear never helped me and worry never got me anywhere, you know, because when I first got this disease, all I had was fear and worry. And then I had to keep telling myself, okay, worry never helped me, fear never got me anywhere. I just had to keep talking myself up and reminding myself like there is a solution, like I can feel better because like all these people are doing it. They're not that different than me. We all have MS, right? We're like same. I don't know that we're the same, but like we got a lot more in common than a lot of other people. All right, so we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of lemon. And then I would absolutely not skip the salt on the cheese. Like I'll skip the salt in the burger, but I would absolutely not skip it on the cheese because I think it does a lot for the flavor to give it of like more of a cheese-like flavor. And actually on the OMS website, there was an article posted within the last year, I believe, or not. I don't know if it was in the year. I don't want to quote it, but I read an article that was debunking about how problematic salt can be. So I believe, you know, everything in moderation is probably okay as long as it's compliant. All right, so we're gonna zip this up. I have my pasta is already boiled and cooked. So I did that. I used chickpea pasta. Oops. Our burgers are in there. We got 6 minutes. All right, oh, it looks beautiful. I'm just gonna wipe the edges down to get all of that nutritional yeast down. So something really cool about the OMS diet is that, you know, this plant-based, and some folks eat salmon in it too, but this lifestyle is, it's pretty much like this diet, if you will, is like, it's the same diet that's going to help reverse diabetes. It's the same diet that's going to reverse heart disease, cholesterol, all of these things. All right, let me show you how beautiful. And so that's why this diet is so lovely. And it's like, it's so beautiful to be able to share it with family. Like I feel really good when I'm able to serve my family like this type of food. All right, so here's our cheese. I don't want to spill it, but I mean, it's like cheese. My, like it's pretty awesome. So my friends who don't eat OMS because they don't have MS, they all really have like this mac and cheese that I've made. All right. So I use chickpea pasta. I boiled and cooked. In America, the brand that I like is called Banza, B-A-N-Z-A. So that's the brand I like. All right, so we're gonna put all this pasta in here. You can decide like to make your pasta, you can make it baked, you can make it with cheese on it, you can, I'm just gonna do it here. All right, and then I'm gonna add, oops, a little bit all over here. All right, and then I'm gonna add these sweet peas. And then we'll cook this up a little bit. We got through those burgers pretty quick. So those are definitely a staple. So I'm gonna add, all right, let's add 1 to 2 cups of frozen peas. So it's really up to you. I use 2 packs of pasta. So I'm gonna use 2 cups of frozen peas, right? So if you don't like peas, then you don't have to add them. You could just leave it as like a plain mac and cheese. But the reason that I add them is because the fiber, the additional fiber and the additional protein, and research, it's, there's an overwhelming body of evidence that continues to grow that shows if we want to reduce inflammation, we have to increase our fiber, and that's why the plant-based diet works so well to mitigate disease. I'm going to use about half of this sauce here. I'm not measuring it. Just want to make sure I have some left for my burgers, but I'll make sure all this gets some. Show you guys what I have in my setup here. Okay, so this is what it looks like so far. I'm going to put it on the stove, heat it up, get those peas to melt, incorporate everything. But yeah, so the evidence shows with MS, like fiber is what's going to help us, and not just with MS, for any disease. And a lot of times, like, folks will not just get one disease, they'll get hit with a couple. So, and this diet, this lifestyle, this eating plan, meditation, sleeping well, relating well, all of these things, they're going to help us in every aspect of our life, not just with MS, like developing better relationships, like absolutely. All right, so this is all incorporating. Those peas are melting down. My burgers are getting ready to be flipped. I have 2 pieces of bread in my air fryer. And then I'll talk to you guys about what type of bread I use and why. All right. Another thing in our recipe pack for today were travel cookies too. So I'm not making them on the camera, but I've made them in advance. Then I will show them to you too and talk a little bit about them. All right, so we got these burgers here looking beautiful. I'm gonna flip them. Let me show you guys what we have so far. Right, and like these are a lot more cost effective than anything you'll find in the grocery store. And taste better, personally, in my opinion, and have no oil. So I'm gonna give them all a good flip. And with these burgers too, my favorite way to heat them up is in the air fryer. They just get more crispy. They become a more confident burger over time. So when you first flip them, they can be a little bit like touchy. So just make sure you clean that burger off of your spatula in between flips. You know, sometimes there can be leftover burger that makes it hard to flip the next one. But as time goes on, they become more firm because they have the flax egg inside. Right. And so with MS, we do flaxseed oil. So we always want like a little bit of flax to get our omegas. All right. So I got that going. I'm going to put them in for 10 more minutes. Look how cute they are. I love being able to eat a burger. You know, it's like something when I first got diagnosed, I was like, do I get to ever eat a burger? Like, what is this? All right, so I got 10 more minutes. This mac and cheese and peas are getting warm. I'm gonna add a little bit more cheese to it. Checking on our time. Might have went a little bit too fast on the burger, but hopefully you were able to follow along. Okay, so this is coming together. We want to make sure those peas are melted. Sometimes I've made this and I just get too excited and too ready, like I'm just done. And then I like take it off the stove and then my peas are all frozen still. All right, so we got that. We're gonna let that kind of heat up here. And to top our burger, I'm keeping it pretty simple. I have mustard. I'm gonna do a tomato. And then I have some kale as lettuce. The bread that I use for any time that I need bread or eat bread is easy. Oops, I just threw it. Is Ezekiel. I'll just set this. Ezekiel bread. It's whole grain and it's sprouted bread. Sprouted whole grain bread, Ezekiel bread. All right, I'm gonna cut this tomato up. I'm gonna throw some pickles on there too. I'm gonna top it with cheese. And it's like pretty much the best thing ever. All right, so cutting my tomato. Got this, we got pickles, we got cheese. All right, let me throw in another bread here. Because I dropped it and then like stepped on it. So this is the bread that I use. All right, and I like to toast my bread in the air fryer. I'll put it at 370 for 370 Fahrenheit. So that's, I don't know what it is in others, but I'll put it in for 5 or 6 minutes. All right, and then I'll be able to assemble the other half of this bread. Our mac and cheese is looking pretty good. We're kind of getting to the end here. So let's stir up this mac and cheese. It looks so good. All right, and then I'm gonna talk a little bit while those cookies, while the burger's roaring, I'm gonna talk a little bit about these travel cookies. So in your recipe pack, you got, it says travel cookies. So I made these ones with tahini. And I chose to use tahini. In the recipe pack, it says almond butter or nut butter of choice. So I went nut butter of choice, which is actually a seed butter, sesame paste. And so I chose tahini because the inflammation that occurs when roasting sesame seeds is less than the inflammatory properties that arise when heating other nut products. So for example, advanced glycemic end products is like what we're avoiding when we heat up nuts and things because they are inflammatory. So the advanced glycemic end products that are created through using sesame paste are lower than if we use like a peanut butter or something like that. So I just wanted to share that bit of information, but these cookies are they're dense, they're nutrient dense, they're easy. I call them travel cookies because they're easy to take with you places. You could fill up a bag of these cookies. They are nutrient dense. They are also calorie dense, right? Because it's like eating a bunch of oatmeal, raisins, dried fruit, which increases the calories. But these are a good snack to have around, and the recipe is in there. And you'll also get a 10-year anniversary recipe book when you receive the recording of this too. So those are the cookies. I'm going to show you guys the macaroni and cheese. Make sure it's not like hot. Oh, I have an oven mitt. So I'll show you guys that, how that turned out. It's just a really lovely dish that you can bring with you. You can, like, this is beautiful to bring with you somewhere. Everyone's going to love it. It tastes really good. It's the closest thing to cheese that I've eaten since since I've started MS over 3 years ago, or not MS. Well, yeah, I started MS, whatever, OMS. But this mac and cheese is so delicious. It's so easy to make. The cheese is really versatile. We got about 5 more minutes on these burgers. And then I'm just gonna cut some toppings for them. So we got pickles, 2, and we'll assemble a burger, and then that's that. Yeah, so when I first started doing this, I was really, really, really afraid, doing this in terms of OMS. I was really afraid, and I've met a lot of folks who have MS, and I've met a lot of folks who live really well with MS, and I just think like, okay, well, if I want what they have, I'm gonna have to do what they do. And these people, that I admire with MS, like you guys, all of you guys, what they do, what you guys all do is, you show up for yourself, you set yourself up for the day, you meal prep, and it's hard, like we wake up, people with MS are so strong and so powerful because we wake up and we don't know, we just have to trust. We have to trust and have faith and have courage, like every single day, because like it can be challenging. So that's why another thing, it's like super important to, your social connections, your social interconnectedness. There's an Overcoming MS, an OMS support group. I don't think it's official, so hopefully I'm not in trouble for saying it, but that's how I found out about OMS. There's on Facebook an OMS support group, and that really helped me. Another thing too, if you're looking for recipes, you can follow my Facebook page, Rachel Detroit Coaching, and I post all OMS compliant recipes and tips and all types of good stuff on there. All right, so we got that. Let's check these burgers out. My second piece of bread is about to be done after I stepped on the first one. I was like, 5-second rule. No, you just stepped on it. We're not doing that. Oh, these burgers look so fantastic. So lovely. All right, I'm gonna pull them out. We'll assemble a burger here. And like I said, they get better as time goes on. So what I mean by better is firmer. So they hold tighter as time goes on. All right, so we'll assemble one burger with cheese, and that's gonna bring us to, I'm gonna make a plate with our burger, cheese, mac and cheese on the side, and that's gonna bring us to questions. I'll show you the burger, and I'll show you the mac and cheese, and then we'll be ready to rock. All right, so here's my new piece of bread that hasn't been stepped on. All right, here we go. So this is that Ezekiel bread. I'm gonna make sure I like kale. Dark leafy greens are gonna provide us, the most fiber, the most anti-inflammatory properties, the most antioxidants. And, although I am a plant-based chef, and I like find a lot of joy in cooking and pleasure in eating and all of these things, I'm really cognizant of like what, just because something's OMS compliant doesn't mean it's like the optimal choice. Like I shared, I was eating dates and nut butter like 9 times a day, probably. I don't know. I was just scared. Like, I didn't know what to do. So there are choices that are more optimal, right? So like, although that was compliant, it wasn't the optimal choice. Although this is such a tricky and difficult disease, we have to give ourselves grace to figure it out. Like, we don't use a spatula, Rachel. We don't just know right off the bat, like what to do. It takes time. It's a practice. It takes effort, and that's why it's so lovely that OMS offers like these webinars to keep learning like how to do all of these things. What a lovely, like OMS has changed my life, saved my life really, because I would have had no idea what to do. I'd be eating dates and nut butter still. No, I'm just kidding. But I would have no idea what to do. I'd be really lost. All right, so I got my beautiful little burger. I'm gonna pour some cheese on top. And like, if it's been a while since you've had a cheeseburger, do yourself a favor. Oops, and make this one. And if you like it, you can post some pictures of it. You can post it on my community support group, Rachel Detroit Community Support. You could post it in the OMS group or on Facebook or Instagram with some hashtag, tag Rachel Detroit Coaching, whatever. But so here's the burger, right? If you haven't had a cheeseburger, you got to do this. If you haven't had a cheeseburger since you've had MS, you got to do it. All right, I'm going to throw some pickles on here, because those are OMS compliant too. And then we'll do some ketchup. This is I'm getting a little freaky. Agave syrup ketchup. This is just regular mustard. Whoops, everything's like exploding on me. Okay. All right. Right. So we get to have what other people have too. Like right. All right. Burger, mac and cheese, right? This is like, it's like junk food, but it's not, it's like mac and cheese. We could say perhaps like if it wasn't made this way, it could be like less healthy, right? And a burger, like, oh, that's just all junk food. But really, none of it. It's plants, and it's so good for us. So here is the burger. Oh, I forgot onions. That's okay. I'll get them later. So throw some onions on there. This is the burger. This is the mac and cheese. And those are the cookies. But yeah, that's what we got. And it doesn't take that long to cook it all either. So then we'll start with some questions.
Wow, Rachel, you are so the professional. I can't believe that you can present, cook, and talk so eloquently. So hats off to you. And some really lovely comments already saying that the burgers look amazing. Rachel, you're making my mouth water, and mine actually. I'm absolutely craving a burger. So thank you so much. Really interesting and different webinar for us. So yeah, I'm obviously take a bit of a breath, but can I ask you a few questions that have come in from people?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to just shut this behind me, and then I'm coming back. Yes.
So I think it's in the pack, but just sticking with the burgers and the cheese, the same question, can both be frozen and then obviously saved for a later date?
Yes, they can. The cheese and the burger, I've done both, and they taste fabulous.
Lovely. And how long do the burgers keep for? So how long would you recommend freezing those for?
4 months, 3-4 months. And then, if you haven't eaten them by then, perhaps it's time to pass them on.
Okay. We've had some really helpful people also responding to some of the questions with suggestions, but one of them was earlier on actually about any ideas on what to use instead of yeast, as they're allergic to yeast. And Vicky, one of our OMSs, has suggested skipping the yeast, maybe adding a bit of salt, suggesting that we're actually chasing we're seeking the saltiness, but just don't overdo it.
Yeah, that is the same recommendation I would make, because, well, first I would check, nutritional yeast is different from regular yeast, although similar family. So I would check that, but I would do exactly what Vicky said. You could there's not really a replacement. It's more like omitting it. But if you wanted a little bit more of like a creamier, you could do like a 1/4 cup of soaked cashews, right? But we want to be careful with the saturated fat with OMS. So just, I would do like a 1/4 cup of soaked cashews and just don't eat and that's a good balance. That's what I would do. Either skip completely and add keep with the salt, or add 1/4 cup of cashews and then also keep with the salt.
Great, thank you. The ladies asked, what tips would you have for sticking to the diet when you stay with other people, meet someone for dinner, or are out and about?
I love that question. So this took me 3 years to figure out. So when I go out to dinner with other people, I eat before I go. 100%. I am full. I show up and I'm full. Like, not full, but I'm all set. Like, I could go. So I've changed my mindset to, when I go out to eat with people, it is because I want to see you, not because I'm going to a restaurant. Because, to be realistic, a lot of the restaurants are not very good at making salads, or, that's so mean, but they're not amazing at making OMS food. So I don't show up thinking like I'm going to get this beautiful, OMS compliant plate. I eat it at home and I'm full. And when I get there, I make sure to order some safe things that I order are, I'll get like a side salad or a regular salad that I have to tell them to adjust. But I get really serious with the waiter or waitress. And I just let them know, I say, I'm allergic, even though I'm not allergic to oil per se. I say I'm allergic to oil so that they know, I'm serious, that I'll get sick. It's a different form of sick, right? It's not like I'm not going to get sick and drop dead, but it will make me sick. So I let them know that I'm allergic to oil, and I always order like a side salad or steamed vegetables, or I'll ask specifically, is there something that can be made? But when I order a salad, because I'm hungry, I am a hungry woman, usually overall, I tell them, I say, I would like a lot of calories in this salad, and these are the only things I can eat. So you're going to have to add onions and cucumbers and tomatoes and avocado and some pumpkin seeds and egg, whatever you have, I want you. So it's about communicating, I think, for me. I'm already full, and then I communicate my needs really well.
So one of the questions was around going back to the cookies, and I think just to say again, Rachel, about what we've got that's come up as well about the recipes, and we can say that we're obviously going to reshare the recipes for tonight with the links back, and also just tell us a little bit about the special anniversary edition of the cookbook that you've pulled together for us. Yeah.
So in that cookbook, there's 10 recipes. And the way it's done is there's 2 or 3 for breakfast. There's a foundational smoothie recipe. So these are the recipes that I've compiled that I believe that are super imperative to living well with MS. So the smoothie recipe, and you can put your flaxseed oil in there if that's how you take your flax oil, or, so it's options, and it's a basic smoothie, which really focuses around the fiber. So there's 10 different recipes in there. There's a lot of staples, just like you'll see here. These are staples that you can make, like a chili, accessible, cost effective. So I'm not telling you to go buy something you've never heard of. It's all things that you can buy from a regular grocery store. And that is filling, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really important. Obviously, our OMS has said about, being accessible, affordable, and stuff that they have in the cupboard. So that's really great. I just wanted to raise one question that's actually was at the start and slightly, I guess, controversial, and there's difference of opinion. So there's a suggestion that liquid smokes, the use of liquid smoke, can be carcinogenic, so linked to cancers. So I know obviously you said, you replace it instead of using the extra virgin olive oil, but just thoughts on that, if you may.
Yeah, so I have, that is why I'm hesitant of using it even, because I agree with science and I've seen it, but the amount that I would have to take in order for it to become carcinogenic or cancer causing for me are amounts that I would never ever eat on like a week span or a month or even a year. So for me to use a small, like a 1.5, 2 teaspoons, I feel comfortable, but it's your body. Everyone has to make their choice and what they feel comfortable with. Like I don't touch olive oil. Some people do. That's just how my brain works. So yeah, I agree. It's carcinogenic, but I don't consume enough of it to be that.
Okay. It's all about choice, and people can come up with substitutions if they're not comfortable.
Exactly. You can even not even put it in and the burger still tastes so good.
I'm sure. I mean, who's going to eat the rest of the 11 that you've got there, Rachel?
I have a friend coming over right after this to eat with me in a little bit because, yeah, that's a lot of food.
Well, I just wanted to thank you so much for, like I said, a really different webinar, certainly for me anyway, since I've been doing these seasons, and really enjoyed it. And I love the fact that, not everybody might have been able to cook along live, but they can certainly enjoy it and then go back and watch the recording at their leisure. And all the materials will be available because we appreciate that not everybody will be able to keep up or, at this pace, but really, really interesting. And thank you so much. And I'll just finish off and thank you again, Rachel. And all the lovely comments are coming in. I can see it on my screen, so I'll pass those on to you for sure. But yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our session. And just to say that tomorrow night we will be back with another webinar, 7 o'clock UK time, so British summer time. And we've got breath work with Veronique. So that will be for an hour. If you haven't registered yet, please go to the website and you can still do that. And as we've said many, many times tonight, all the materials, I promise you, will be made available. You will be sent the link from Zoom within a week. It will come to you automatically and you'll be able to access all the recipes, all the information, and of course that lovely 10-year anniversary book that Rachel's pulled together for us. So from me in a now rainy London, near London, I'll say good night and thank you so much again. Bye.